you this. Should there be cigarette-style warnings on social media apps? 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need to give us a ring. Now, the Liberal Democrats, who've just finishing having their conference in Bournemouth, they want to protect young people's mental health by having warnings on social media apps, the kind of thing that you would see on cigarette packets, for example. Now, we had graphic images showing how harmful cigarettes are on packets since 2008. These are the examples that you have on cigarettes. So could something similar work? So imagine this. You'd log onto an app and be greeted with a clear warning that using social media apps can actually cause anxiety, depression, and sleep deprivation. Now, currently, so it would be something like that, right? So that's the first thing that you would get before you started scrolling. So currently, children aged 8 to 17 spend between 2 and 5 hours a day online. And research suggests that the more time they spend online, the more likely they are to suffer from things like anxiety and depression. So do we need something like this, Dawn, for kids?
I'm working with two young men, younger than me in any case, who both, in the break, picked up their phones. It's not just kids, is it, that are addicted to their phones?
Sure, OK.
And it is very, very addictive. Will it work? I mean, with cigarettes, it is slightly different because it is a medical thing. You can see literally a diseased lung cancer. I think the way children now have been brought up using their devices and their phones from very, very young, I think something like you're looking at on your screen now is not going to make any difference to them. I don't think it's a bad idea,
right?
Wholesale. I mean, but I just don't think it's going to work.
I mean, we should differentiate. It's not about using your phone. It's specifically when you're going onto social media apps for young children, because that's where the algorithms take over.
Yes, of course.
We've had cases of young children being driven to food-related mental health issues.
Suicide. Kids are taking their own lives.
You know, so should there be a warning, Michael? This is something we mocked up.
Yeah.
I'm sure advertising companies that earn millions of pounds will get a lot more creative than that. But would you support something like that?
Yes. I mean, I think it's only a good start. I don't think this is going to solve the problem. I actually prefer the Lib Dems had another policy yesterday, which is to have a mandatory cap on what they've called it a doom scrolling cap. So the idea that after you've swiped for a certain amount of time, it just won't show you anything else. Because at the moment, what TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, they're all designed to
keep you there.
Keep you there.
Yeah, of course.
And, it's a bit like cigarettes, right? They're addictive. I think mobile phones are as addictive as cigarettes, and we need to start treating them like cigarettes, especially for young people. And so this, I think, is a good start. I think we can go much, much, much further to stop young people using this and to stop myself using this. I want a cap on my social media.
Well, you can put a cap on your social
media. You can, but then you can also take it away. I want
self-discipline, Michael.
I want a strong state to come down and save me from my phone.
You want Ed Davey managing your mobile.
Exactly.
Begging for a nanny state to come in and tell you what to do. OK, well, don't go anywhere because we're taking your calls on this. What do you think? Should there be some sort of warning about mental health and the impacts of mental health of social media on the social media platforms? 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need. See you after the break. Whether there should be cigarette-style warnings on social media apps. So get in touch. 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need. Jack's in South Yorkshire. Jack, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Do you think we need some kind of warning before we get onto social media, particularly for younger people?
Especially for younger people, definitely. But I think that if we take the Spanish approach or the European approach, should I say.
Which is?
Which is they live and let live. And over here, we have this sort of community which...
Are you worried?
I'm sorry. I'm
no,
sorry.
It's all
right. I'm on a satellite delay at the moment. Over here, we have shops that sell.
Okay, Jack.
Let's say imported cigarettes, but
right. So, Jack, we'll clear up your line because but this delay is not allowing us to sort of hear what you want to say. But we have seen, for example, Australia, They're going to ban people below the age of 16 for social media. I mean, if we are acknowledging it is a problem, Dawn, then what should we be doing about it?
Well, what we can do about it is not much, to be honest with you. I mean, if
Well, that's a bit defeatist.
No. Us personally. I mean, it's down to the social media companies, and it's also down to parents. I mean, parenting has to play a role in this as well.
But when you say it's down to social media companies, realistically,
I know realistically,
you're not expecting Meta or X or TikTok to actually do much. So what can we do as a nation? Oh, you saw Australia, they got together, they were like, look, this is not good for kids. We're going to ban it for anyone below the age of 16. Why are we not having these conversations?
We are having this conversation. We're having a conversation right now about it, but how does it
As you said, we can't really change much. But why is that not happening within the government, for example?
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with you more on this, actually, Dawn.
Oh, excellent, Michael.
I think there is an attempt by the social media companies to say, well, what can we possibly do? This is just human nature. This is just the way the world works. And actually, we should be telling our politicians, people around the country don't like what social media is doing to their kids, don't like what social media is doing to themselves. And we need you to step in and solve this collective action problem. Because there's an issue with saying it's all about the parents, because often the parents say to their kid, I want you to get off social media. And then the kid says, but all my friends have it. And then that's very difficult for the parent to say, OK, even though all your friends have it, I'm going to force you to get off it. What we need is the state to say, no kids should have it. Go back to having the kind of childhood where you play with each other outside.
Oh, fantastic.
And
you're
not constantly judging each other on Instagram based on how you look. The state should come in and sort this out.
I'm all for that, but I don't want a government that basically couldn't run a bath at the moment actually running my social media account, to be honest with you.
Do you think that some kind of warning, I mean, we saw the cigarette packaging actually, was very effective. That combined, of course, with other things like a raise on duty, cigarettes are extremely expensive now for people. But is this a first step towards actually making more people aware, reminding them that actually, you know what, yeah, fine, but this is not great for you, it's not great for your health? Is it a first step that could actually be useful for some younger people?
I don't think Michael and I are against it. I think it's actually, as you say, it's a first step. But that's an interesting point, Alexis. What about making it more expensive? That's what we did with cigarettes to a certain extent. As well as the warnings, we also made them more expensive. What about somehow, I don't know, I'm not an expert on this, making the social media access more expensive for youngsters?
Never going to happen. Never going to happen because...
Now who's being defeatist, Alexis?
It's never going to happen because it's understanding the business model of social media. It's free because you're the product.
Exactly.
Right? Your data is what makes Mark Zuckerberg billions and billions of dollars. And if he has to charge for that, then the whole business model will just
But
implode.
we're talking about change.
I've got an idea for the Lib Dems about how I think this will actually work.
Michael's got it.
So just show people the image is not going to do much.
No.
But show them the image and it stays on your phone for 30 seconds. And because what I'm thinking is often I find myself, I'm queuing for a toilet and then without really noticing it, I'm looking at Instagram and I'm already swiping. And it's not conscious. Whereas if you sort of have to look for 30 seconds, do you really want to look at Instagram? Is that really what you want to do? Then I think I probably would often just put away my phone.
Okay.
Let's speak to Andrew, who's in Worcestershire. Andrew, welcome to the show. Do you think we need some sort of warning, maybe something that stays on your phone for 30 seconds before you're allowed to proceed with your scrolling?
Yeah, you could do something like that. But like I just spoke to your researcher, as we're all adults now, and we all went to school, and we all brought a letter home to get consent from our parents to go on a school trip or something.
Yeah.
Maybe something with the parents' ID is also involved in it, so that they know what they're dealing with, should there be a problem. And I think that most kids out there now, they're on social media without their parents even knowing. Now, you can't buy a lottery ticket until you're 18. You can't vote till you're 18. But this is such a dangerous thing. I see it in my job all the time where social media has caught a lot of people out. I won't elaborate on that.
Okay.
But parents need to have the conversation that they also need to sign up to it to give them the consent to actually go onto social media, understand the dangers, and if it goes wrong, then the parents, which there isn't a lot of nowadays, no parental responsibility. This might be the start of parents actually showing some responsibility to their young children.
Andrew, would you back something similar to what Australia have been looking to do, which is actually banning younger people from being on social media? I think Australia is the age of 16. I mean, you've said, 18 is when you officially become an adult. would you think, should the government look to actually ban social media for under 16s?
They could do that, but I mean, I don't know what happens in the schools nowadays. Do the children nowadays need social media to find out information for their school projects? In my opinion, 16 is old enough. You're old enough to have a relationship with somebody. I personally, if my children were 16 again, I would only allow it from the age of 16 because there's too much danger out there. I see it all the time with my line of work.
Yeah.
Where people are caught out on social media. So, yeah, we've got to take some responsibility as young children. Adults have got to take responsibility, and parents need to start taking some responsibility themselves if they know that their children are on such sites. These are the dangers.
Okay.
We might get back to a state where adults are actually adults, and we're not having kids.
Andrew, I have to leave it there. Thank you. Just very curious as to what Andrew does, but he quite clearly didn't want to tell us. Thank you, Andrew. Paul on Facebook got in touch. He said, I would ban social media altogether. Jason on Facebook as well says, this is silly thinking. It will just make media seem more cool to teenagers.
Wow. That's a good point. The more you ban things for teenagers, the more they're going to want to do it.
Well, yeah, the ban, but what about the warnings, particularly if it's something that you can't sort of get rid of very quickly, like Michael said?
Well, I think that's not a bad idea. Michael, you had a really good idea. Congratulations. I think that's actually not a bad idea because our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. 30 seconds is a long time. I mean, as Michael's disappearing into the toilet with his wet wipes, which is not going to flush down the loo, I think that's probably the best idea we've had so far between us.
But it feels like, as you say, there are discussions about the impact of social media on younger people. Sir Ed Davey's been talking about it at the Liberal Democrat conference at the moment. It feels like we're all talking about it. Doesn't feel like there's any serious attempts to deal with something from the government at the moment.
So I think this would be, Labour obviously very struggling to get any support. I think going really hard on the social media companies would give them some purpose, but they're kind of in hock to the big money guys.
OK. Well, look, that's all we've got time for today. But Vanessa's here.